Hello, Governor. Welcome back to another episode of Unveiled Paths podcast with your guy, Beezus, and my guy,
D-Will.
Hell yeah, man. We smooth with it now,
Yeah.
bro. We smooth with it
We
now.
getting there.
Episode 8. We are back with another one, man. Who we got today, D-Will?
Today, we got my friend over here, Scott Poole.
Scott Poole.
Yeah, he's, I met him one day. They ended up getting a studio as well, and they do ghost hunting.
So we were in talks of, trying to get a studio with this guy for a minute.
Yeah.
And
It's still a possibility.
It's still a possibility.
Still a possibility.
We were rushing. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
We were kind of rushing. We were ready to go ahead and get the
We got a
ball
lot of
rolling.
Russians in the
Hey,
studio.
man.
I got dad jokes for all day. What?
We're here for all the dad jokes.
Yeah, your mic's not loud. You know what? It's fine. Just do you, boo-boo.
And accompanying Mr. Scott Poole, we got Rowan in the studio too. What's up, Rowan?
Nice to meet you. Hi.
So, Scott, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? We'll get into,
I'm a Panther. Super shy in front of a camera.
what's your favorite color?
Purple.
Oh,
Magenta.
Start twirling your hair.
Wow.
I didn't say which. You got a beard.
True. So, where do you want to start? Seriously. I'm from
D-Will,
Sikeston.
You're the timeliner. Where are we going to start?
I figured we could just kind of get an idea of, how your childhood was growing up, that aspect of it, and then get into earlier years, and then we can get into now.
I had an amazing childhood. I really did. My
Yeah.
father was an obstetrician gynecologist, and we did not go without. We went on incredible vacations. Disney. I'm not trying to make anybody jealous. I'm just saying
No,
some
man.
people will say they had traumatic childhood or they had this or that. I literally cannot look back at my childhood and go, this guy delivered over 8,000 babies in the Southeast Missouri area over
Wow.
a 30-year period.
Man.
And I can't say enough good things about him because not only was he busy doing that, he also found the time to coach little league teams for me. I look back on that and I'm like, dude, how did you manage? How in the world did that even he just did. He made it. He actually,
Made it
we
happen.
came up with a team. Favorite color is purple. Said that earlier. Purple and black, which happened to
and
be
black.
Poplar Bluff's colors, by the way.
Yep.
And he was like, what do you want to call the team? I was like, the Pirates. I love Pirates. Well, I did. I still do. To this day. And we had our own soccer team, which was pretty cool. And born and raised, all the way up to 6 years old in Columbia, Missouri. I was born at University Hospital where he did his residency. We vacated University Hospital in the Columbia area and came down to Sikeston, started grade school, and met some of my lifetime friends that are still in Sikeston to this day. Graduated from high school in 95, went on to Missouri State. Messed around, it's not the word I wanted to use, but messed around my first 2 years of college and decided I needed to take a break, or at least the university decided that for me.
Yeah.
Joined the military and decided that, in the Army, I'm going to go National Guard because I still wanted to finish my college. So I decided to go Army National Guard, came back, finished school, got a degree in communications with a focus in mass media, multimedia design with a focus in film production and sound production, like film history, right out of the gate. I graduated in 2003. I know it sounds like forever ago now.
I graduated in
It
03.
was in 5th grade, maybe.
Right. So
I was 1 year old.
so
I graduated in 08, so I wasn't too far.
I graduated from college in 2003, and just fortuitous. Really was one of those fortuitous things. Now, you guys know what happened in 2003 globally. That was our Operation Iraqi Freedom. So the fortuitous thing was through the grapevine. Now, let me back up. Hold on. I was supposed to go to Shanghai. I think it was the summer before. Weian Wang, I still remember her name. That was my sound production designer, like my coach, my teacher, but she became a friend and a mentor. She signed me and another gentleman up, selected the two of us to go do sound production for a 10-part Chinese episode for 1950s China, like the Chinese mafia for Chinese HBO. We were going to go live in Shanghai University and shoot this and like have an interpreter assigned to us. I was stoked, man. I was like, you got to be kidding
That's
me.
awesome.
Bird flu broke out.
Whoa.
SARS.
Whoa.
And it was basically like COVID, but it didn't get as far
serious.
spread, as serious, thank goodness. But it prevented me from being able to fly into China. So the fortuitous thing is that dissolved. And then right after that, a production company was heading to Springfield, Missouri, where I lived. They were going to shoot a movie called, Larva. It was a B-rated film. It's actually not bad. It had Vincent Ventresca, who played in The Invisible Man on the Sci-Fi Channel. William Forsythe, he's an amazing voice, by the way. If you love audio, go listen to the way he talks. Yeah. It's like audio chocolate. That's the way I kind of describe. I was a boom operator, so I had to the dailies right here, and I would be like on William. He played Flat Top and like Dick Tracy, and played opposite of Nick Cage in Con Air. I mean, he's been in a lot of films. Yeah. And I would just on his right in front of him. Like Rachel Hunter was also in the film, who is Rod Stewart's ex-wife, who was the real pretty redhead that was on Sports Illustrated like in the 90s. Cool story about her. For whatever reason, they decided I was going to be her escort. And not in the bad way,
Right.
But hey, you're going to go pick her up and bring her to set. I don't know who decided that. You're going to go pick up a supermodel in my freaking Ford Ranger. It's like, okay. I'm not going to turn it down. So I went and picked her up. And we wrapped early one day from set. And I'm driving her back to her hotel. And she's on the phone. She's on speakerphone. Now, this is an 03. She's on speakerphone with somebody. And I'm like, she's telling this young lady about me. And she goes, oh, that's cool. Let me talk to him. Because I was telling them that I was getting activated going to war. And the lady on the phone said, no, Quentin, you hang on. I want to talk to this guy. So I get on the phone with the blonde from Kill Bill. She was in Splash. You guys know who I'm talking about?
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of her name.
Not Uma Thurman.
The one who wore the eye patch?
Yes, the one that wore the eye patch.
I can't remember her name either.
She literally said, you hang on, Quentin. I want to talk to this guy. I heard her through the speakerphone. She was on set filming Kill Bill 2, I think. Yeah. And told Quentin Tarantino to hold on so she could talk to me.
That is so awesome.
But she wanted to thank me for my service, and she said that not everybody in Hollywood not all of us are a bunch of jerks. We appreciate what you all do, and we know that you're going into harm's way. You guys are doing the bobblehead thing. I love it. But you guys were both doing it in sync.
We've been doing this for a minute now.
But it was just neat to actually, because back then there were a lot of leftists in Hollywood, and there still are, and it seemed like they were all against the service members, and it was just kind of, it was overwhelming, especially did you go across the pond?
Yes,
Benny?
I did.
Yeah. Where did you go? Did you go to the Rock? Or?
I went to Afghanistan.
So you went to the stand.
Yeah.
Did you go to the desert at all?
Yeah, I was in the desert. So the first 6 months I was there, I was in the mountains up in northern Afghanistan. And then the second half of my 6 months there, I was down in Kandahar province, down in the desert.
Okay. What year was that?
2010 to 2011.
So yeah, you were there. We were there. I was there in 04, 05. The buildings were still smoldering from the first push. We were right behind the first push.
Yeah. Yeah, we did.
And that's. Go ahead. No,
we did. And so whenever I was there, we pushed into Helmand province, down into there, and was pushing into a place called the Horn of Panjwai. And that's down in close to Helmand province somewhere. And so we were operating out of a Canadian base, and then we were pushing in, trying to do our ops before Special Forces come in and did their Hearts and Minds projects.
Gotcha. I was with the 20th Airborne Engineers the first time, and then I was attached as a medic, and then went back with a troop medical clinic group and helped run a troop medical clinic. And the first tour was 22,000 miles of VIP escort and screaming around Iraq. We were a CEA team, and this may not make any sense to anybody, but we were a captured enemy ammunitions team for. I just came across the poster I can't wait to show you the poster that has been hidden from me for eons. I didn't even know it was still around, but my lieutenant came back and made a poster of all the places that we went in around.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we did, like I said, VIP security missions. We would do what they called firecracker missions, which is basically escorting PLSs. A PLS is a big truck with a giant crane on it, and they can literally pick up an entire pallet. It's a palletized loading system. Yeah. Pick up an entire pallet and put it on the back of the truck. It's pretty neat. The rear axle turns opposite of the front vehicle, so it's because you know what a PLS is. They're so big, and we would escort them. We set off, and I will send you the link if you want to put this on the podcast. I'd love to see it. A 429-ton det.
Gosh, that's massive.
It looks like an atom bomb went off.
Yeah. Jeez. That is massive.
It's and you can hear my voice in the video. It's my lieutenant that's shooting it, but you can hear if you listen to, and it's obviously a younger version of Scott, but you can definitely hear me in the video. You can't see me, but I'm in it. And
so like, oh shit!
I mean, it was exhilarating. I mean, we threw. The only problem is we were a mile and a half away, and I was sitting. I'll tell you, we were a mile and a half away. We had Marines with us that were running into to take cover because it was that big of a boom. We had 2 other booms before that, and this one was just knock
wild.
out the sun big.
Yeah.
And the shockwave that hit us. Have you seen that video? Yeah, the shockwave that hit. It broke my camera. I had a Kodak Easy Share camera, and I was sitting on. You can sit on the top of it with your legs in front of the windshield, in front of the turret, and it blew me into the turret, and I was like a turtle trying to get out. But I threw my camera. Yeah, I've always been a dork. It's never really changed. It's not ever going to go away.
Trust me, I know.
Yeah.
That's wild. The biggest that we've ever had was whenever we had A-10 Warthogs come in and drop 2,500 pound JDAMs.
The coolest call sign I ever heard was, so there was a convoy ahead of us that was stuck. It was the first Cav convoy of a striker team that was stuck. It's a specific kind of first Cav. They have these vehicles that are called strikers that are supposed to withstand RPG attacks from the sides. And they were pinned down. And there was a team south of them on MSR Tampa trying to get them out of that situation. But half that convoy was broken up, and we were going to retrieve them from this side. And my lieutenant turns to the sheriff's net and says, "We need air support, and we need it 15 minutes ago." And you hear this squawk, like keying in. Mm-hmm. Steel Rain 47 inbound. I'm sorry, what did he say? Did he say Steel Rain? Steel Rain. Yeah. And they crossed like this, and it just went, and yeah.
A-10s are awesome. We had them do.
You know what an A-10 is, right?
No, sir.
Okay, so imagine a Gatling gun with wings.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They shoot 150 rounds.
Those ones that come off hot enough to change colors and all that good stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. But it literally shoots 150 rounds of 30 millimeter ammunition in 2 seconds.
Yeah. They'll stall the aircraft.
Yeah.
Dang. It's just like you think about who made that.
And there's been senators.
They're like, this is a cool gun. Let's put wings on it.
Wings. They built an aircraft around a gun.
Yeah.
It's exactly what they did for Vietnam. They were like, we've got to have this. We got this gun. Let's strap wings to it.
Yeah.
And the pilot sits on the gun.
Because it being on the ground was terrifying enough.
And there have been senators. There was a female senator back in like the teens, the 20 teens, where she was actually trying to stop the Warthog from flying again, because it's the most outdated aircraft that we have, other than like some of the other like C-130s and some of the older aircraft that we have. It's not the oldest craft that we have. That would be the USS Constitution that's in Boston Harbor.
Okay,
you gotta look that up.
You know too much.
That's old Ironside.
He don't know too much. He knows.
He knows everything.
There's seamen. Naval seamen or whatever they call them. They're sailors that are stationed on old Ironsides. I mean, you've heard of it's the legend of the old Ironsides. We still have that ship.
Yeah.
I've been on it. It's amazing.
That's awesome.
I need to tap in with you.
Yeah.
I need to tap in with you.
That's part of what we do, though. We love history. It's not
Yeah.
just running in and seeing if we can drum up some paranormal.
So how
evidence.
deep do you go with it? Like, I know it's not just a bunch of facts and random knowledge that you have. I'm sure it intertwines into what you do too.
Absolutely. I mean, it's basically like that's a really good question. As deep as our knowledge base will go, but with private residences like Covington, Tennessee, and like we're going to another private residence. It'd be neat if you guys like tagged along and were like reporters and did like a podcast on that. That'd be really cool.
That would be cool.
But they've got
Let us know the dates.
it's a really interesting case. Around the March timeframe of last year, she reached out to us, saw us on TikTok, reached out to us and said, "Hey, we've got this fireman's hat. That's my grandfather's. Her father brought it over during one of her children's birthday parties, along with some other artifacts. All right. Ever since then, activity has spiked in their house. There has not been anything else prior to this. She's given us file footage, or like, how do you say that? Security footage of their basement. And I asked her over the phone, so who else is in the house? I'm watching this with zero context. Who else is in the house? No one's in the house. Full-on conversations, stuff moving around. I mean, you couldn't have told me that there wasn't somebody either in the room or upstairs moving around.
Wow.
And stuff is steadily happening, and even more so when the kids play with the fireman's helmet. So, and the 5-year-old, if he knew that there may be a ghost in the house, he wouldn't ever go back up to his room and put his shoes on. I mean, he would be terrified. So she's kind of warned us that we need to probably not wear. He can't read, but I don't want to alarm the 5-year-old at all. It's not what we want to do. But if it is grandpa or great grandpa in this case, I told her she really doesn't have anything to worry about. Yeah. But we need to get up there to assess if there's anything else that was attached to those items.
Right.
Because spirit will attach themselves to certain items. There's a reason why the Titanic Museum in both Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and Branson, Missouri are both haunted. There's a little boy that runs around in the Branson one, and there's a little girl that runs around in the Pigeon Forge one. Now, we can't get into either one of them to investigate them.
Yeah.
Because of a certain investigator team that investigated Branson and ruined it for the rest of us. But Ghost Hunt Weekends has the contract and can get you in. And there's been some amazing evidence.
Wow.
That is awesome. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, imagine the artifacts that are in both of those museums, though.
Right.
And you asked, how deep do we go? I just tell people just to dive in. Our team, we've got a dozen investigators at this point, and some of them will just dive in, except for, like I said, private homes. There's not much history to go on unless we really wanted to look at the property and whatnot. But as a spirit medium, as somebody that can read energy and get visions, and this is not something that I thought I ever had, but I started developing this gift the more that we've investigated. It's kind of opened up my third eye chakra, which is kind of neat. I can't turn it off, which is not neat.
No.
It really isn't. Stuff happens to me all the time that I just kind of
Shrug it off at this point.
I do, man. I really do. I
How far back did you start doing this? Let me ask you that.
2019 is when we officially started.
And when do you believe that you started being able to see, things on like the...
That would have been the Forest Hotel in Morehouse. So are you familiar with Sykeston and Morehouse?
I'm from Sykeston.
Okay.
I'm from Sykeston.
So Morehouse was a really nice town.
Where I went to elementary school, actually.
Oh, okay. Okay. I think they raised that. Did they not? Mm-hmm. It's all demolished.
Yeah, they knocked it all down. It looks crazy over there now. They should have left that school because that school had some weird...
Okay, between you and me, Joey Brashears doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
Of course.
And needs to get the hell out of there. That building that's across the street, Watkins Funeral Home
Yep.
from the post office
Yep.
is the old Forest Hotel.
Okay.
2 R's.
Okay.
Got it?
I know what you're talking
So the Mercantile sat right next to it. This is how in depth we go.
about. Okay.
The Mercantile from Sparks from the Walther Hammerberger, whatever. Damn it. I don't know the name of
Himmelberger?
the Hammelberger and something. Yeah. Karen said it the other day.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
It'll
they're
come to me. I'll just randomly
the
blurt it out
hotel.
sometime.
Well, here's what's crazy. The hotel that's right over here,
Yeah.
right next to the Marquette, or whichever direction we are. I can't.
It's-
I'm all
right there.
straight. Okay, cool. Was their building? Originally that was their building, that owned the log, not cabins. I'm sorry, the lumber mill that sparked the fire at the Mercantile that burned the Forest Hotel to the ground in 1909.
Wow.
And one of the best pieces of paranormal evidence that you will ever see is housed at SEMO's library with the Forest Hotel burning, ablaze. You see a man standing on the front porch, a black shadow with a cowboy hat on.
Wow.
Just
Damn.
now, who in their right mind would be standing there with the fire that hot behind them?
Right.
It is a incredible image and a very good example of spirit. But what happened was the Mercantile caught on fire right next to the forest. They brought the bodies over from the Mercantile for the families to the Forest Hotel to identify. Unfortunately, when a body burns, it turns into coal.
Right.
And it's awful, okay? They reignited inside the bags. And
Really?
it burned, yeah, and it burned. It used to be, that building, by the way, used to be 3 stories. When they rebuilt it, it was only 2.
But I never knew.
No.
Never knew.
Reignited. That's wild.
Almost burned the whole town down.
Golly.
And what's even, okay, Morehouse? We have detectors, have not shared, I don't know how much of this I've shared with Rowan because he really hasn't investigated Morehouse, but our electromagnetic frequency detection devices, K2s, will detect EMF. Stray EMF, it's a good way of knowing outside of feeling spirit around you that they are around you and that they're interacting with you.
They gotta be. That place just.
You
used to be
can
a
walk
swamp
around
and all that.
Morehouse right down the middle of the road, the main
Yeah.
strip,
Yeah.
and it stays on amber almost the whole time.
You get that feeling when you go there, though, and
Yeah.
it's
And
even
it's
as a little kid. Like I said, I went to elementary school there.
How-
Even as a little kid, I felt
how
something.
often, so he grew up there, how often did you, and you know what a structure fire smells like?
Yeah.
Okay. How often did you smell that in Morehouse and just discount it?
I mean, if it wasn't somebody burning crops, because that school was
That's
right
completely
next to it.
different. I'm
But it
talking
was
structure.
Trying to differentiate, that distinct smell versus that. I couldn't give you an actual accurate answer.
I can't tell you how many times I've been there and just
It smells like,
drove around the town looking for someone that's burning out of a barrel.
but like
Because you can smell the
that's
structure
what
fire.
that's kind of what I'm getting at. I'm thinking it's somebody's burning a crop or something. That might be what it is. That town's weird, man.
Yeah.
It is.
It's weird, and like to think that
The
it used to be
residual-
swamp area and that they pushed all the swamp out of there and
Well, it's all sand down there.
pretty much, but
Yeah.
There's a spy. What was it? As a southern. It's either it was a northern spy ship that's still submerged in one of the canals up there,
Really? That's wild.
buried in the mud. It's in the logs for Morehouse. Morehouse was not originally called Morehouse.
what was it originally called?
Little River or something, Little Big
see
River. Like
yeah.
you'd have to look it up. I was like, what? Wait a second. Like my whole perception of Morehouse changed. I just drove by and saw this abandoned 2-story white building, and the governor at the time, that I can't think of his name, the older gentleman, super nice. Was like, yeah, it's we can go over there. And then I talked to the owner. Zach, I can't think of his last name. He was out of Benton, and he finally got a hold of me through Facebook, and then, yeah, it was pretty neat.
Wow.
Man.
That place is wild. One of the only times when I went over there with my other nephew, And we just went in there to retrieve Zach's generator to take it to the Bloomfield, to investigate there. And John stops, and he is Filipino. He's not a white guy. He's got that olive skin, turned 3 shades of white.
Really?
I'm like, John, like staring at the top of the stairs. And I look up there, and I see a round shadow, and it goes, Funk.
Wow.
And I'm like, what was that? And he goes, it was a little boy at the top of the stairs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't got goosebumps, I got them for you. This dude's creeping me out now, man. Oh, my God.
That's our life, though, man. That's what we...
At what point did you become comfortable with this? Because it doesn't sound like you've been doing it terribly too long.
No.
You know? Let's back up a little bit.
military
Let's
training.
back up a little bit.
Military training.
Okay.
Military training does do that a lot to you.
Man, we don't run away from fire. We run at it.
Yeah.
It doesn't...
Yeah,
Oh, no, man.
I can
and
say
the concept of...
If I seen a demon standing there, I'm not going to
Yeah,
run
but
at it.
I've got God behind
I'm
me.
gonna get it on
I felt
camera.
that.
Yeah, right.
Right.
And that's how I train my team. And as a Catholic, I wasn't a cradle Catholic. My wife was a cradle Catholic. She's Filipino, or Filipina rather. And I checked. I flipped her over and checked. You have to do that. I'm just saying. So that's what they do.
Bro, I was going to give it to you. I ain't going to lie to you. I was like, damn, he was smooth with that one. And then he was like, I flipped over, and I was like, no, he did not. No, he did not. Continue, sorry.
Anyway, you gotta check. Man.
You got to know. You got
gotta
to know.
know.
Been to Bangkok.
Oh.
Gotta know. Anyway,
I've heard stories.
yeah, so have I. And I met one of her cousins, and my jaw dropped.
Yeah.
Going on that story. I'll admit it on camera. Don't care. She's beautiful. She got a pee-pee.
Oh, my.
Didn't know it. Couldn't have told me. I'm like, she's beautiful.
Probably
She's a
seen her.
boy.
Like, no, she don't.
Oh my God.
No, she does not. You're lying. You're fucking lying.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh man, I digress. I don't even know what we were talking about. Military.
Catholics.
Catholic.
Right.
God
Became
behind your back.
Catholic, and I felt like I was studying to become a Catholic, which was it took like 7 or 8 months to go through the courses and the classes.
RCIA.
They call it OCIA now, but it's a rite of catechumens to become initiated into the Catholic faith. And I felt like a student again, learning about Christianity and Catholicism. And I felt rejuvenated. Like, what do I got to be afraid of?
Yeah.
I've got God behind me. I've got, you wouldn't even believe this, but Enoch, of all people, one of the humans in heaven, came to me in a dream and said, I know what you're doing. I see what you're doing. You're doing the right thing. People are going to call me crazy. I hadn't heard the name Enoch since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And he came to me in a dream and said, we're watching over you, and I'm going to protect you guys.
Because I'm pretty sure he's in Genesis.
I mean, how random is that?
Yeah.
Very.
But I feel like, not like Superman a little
Protected,
bit.
though.
Yeah, bulletproof.
Yeah.
What do you got? You're not you're not going to scare me.
Yeah.
I've already seen what evil men do. You can't replicate what I've seen in real life, not in war.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
I've seen evil.
That
You
would
can't possibly outdo what we can do.
That would be a good basis before you try to go through. I'm not gonna say like a religious battle, but like the journey that you're on. That would be a good basis for trying to do what you're doing.
Which is why I encourage and then try to empower my nephew to find his spiritual path, whatever that may be. Because in our line of work, you better have something.
Yeah.
So,
because they'll find you.
did you get a certification or no degree or nothing like that?
Well, I mean, from college?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
no.
No, there is no parapsychology. Stanford, back in the 73, 74, 75 time frame, did do courses on parapsychology.
Yeah.
And then I think eventually it got frowned upon. There's no real course that you can take.
You were mentioning like Catholic. I didn't know if you got like a preaching certification or like degree
No.
or anything
When
like
you
that.
go through the rite of catechumen initiate for adults, it is every Tuesday evening, 2-hour basically a Bible study, but it is, in my opinion, way more in depth than. I mean, it's prayer at the beginning, and then fellowship, and you go through this brochure, like this big pamphlet, and they're covering things, but they cover in depth what Catholics believe and what we don't believe in, what we make exceptions for, and so on and so forth. And it
sounds like a service.
Yeah, it was. And what I have told people, because believe it or not, since I started going to Mass in Sykeston at St. Xavier, even before I was Catholic, it was, "Hey, Scott." I mean, a lot of people know who I am because of my dad. So I walk in and it's like, "Hey, Scott, welcome." And I could not have gotten that kind of welcome any other place. It was, they know I'm not Catholic, and I can't take the Eucharist on Sunday until I become one. Yeah. So I waited and went through the courses and became Catholic, and it's the most non-judgmental congregation I've ever been around in my life.
That's awesome.
And I have come out as a spirit medium, which is, you can't believe in mediums and be a Christian, I mean,
right?
Fine line.
Do what you David.
Yeah,
it's like a weird fine line where they think you're being sacrilegious and you're not.
Yeah. And we're talking about one Old Testament line or a couple of lines in the Old Testament. You're going to throw that at me? Okay, that's fine. My congregation knows that without my Catholic faith, I would not be where I am now. Going back to Brushy Mountain State Pen in Petros, Tennessee, we're going back electively.
And I always say that's the one place.
Fire.
That's the one place that scared me out of everywhere that we've been to. That's the one place that scared me.
That's one of the places that. Okay, two places have scared me.
You always feel like you're being watched, no matter where you are.
Really? I was gonna bring that up. I was gonna ask you those questions.
Here's one of the things that we do as investigators is, and we changed our angle. When I became Catholic, it's like my angle changed. I wanted to go to MSP or Missouri State Pen, and I wanted to go and be like, the new guards are here, and walk around with a baton and act like a Billy Badass and walk around in a guard outfit and really rile them up. Why?
Yeah.
Why do that? They already we went with the mindset of, I don't care what you did. And I'm talking murderers, hard R, pedophiles, the whole 9 yards. You can mute it if you need to or whatever. We're talking hardened criminals.
Right.
But here's the thing. I'm not their judge.
Yeah.
They've already been judged. They got sentenced. They did their time, then penance. And now what? They're stuck?
Yeah.
That's awful.
Yeah.
I don't care what you did. You don't need to be stuck in a prison.
No.
But hey, you have visitors. And if you appreciated visitors when you were alive, maybe you can appreciate people that actually want to converse with you now. Because I want to talk about your life before you ended up here. And not right before. Like, let's not talk about the crappy decisions that you made that got you in here. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about your childhood, if you want. Or let's talk about high school. Like, who was your sweetheart?
Your favorite restaurant to eat at.
Tell me what your ride looked like. Because you had to have had a sick ride at some point.
Yeah.
What kind of job did you have? I want to know about your life. And Housing Unit 4 has the dungeon. This is Missouri State Pen.
Yeah.
When Ghost Adventures went there, it was demons and blah, blah, blah. And then when another team went there, it was, we're going to get them the hell out of here because they don't need to be in here. I'm going after blah, blah, blah. And it was like, we went there, and Housing Unit 4 was so chill and relaxed.
It was our base camp.
We set up base camp there.
Really?
Wow.
In the box, what's his name? You always know.
Sonny Liston.
Sonny Liston. In his... there was an African-American boxer. The boxer.
He fought Muhammad Ali.
And he fought Muhammad Ali. And we set up in his... And I asked permission. I said, I'm not here to disrespect your space, but your cell's one of the only ones with power.
Really?
You know what I mean?
It was very limited.
It was a really nice cell, let's be honest. I mean, as far as cells go, that was... Well, seriously, it was furnished. It had, like, stuff on the walls.
Oh,
I mean,
it
they celebrated him. And that's cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
I mean, we played Johnny Cash for him because we heard that they loved Johnny Cash. Hell, we were in the Housing Unit 1 where all the females were at one point, and through our spirit box, which is an FM AM spirit sweep device that sweeps through AM and FM stations to find static or white noise that spirit is known to speak through. It's like live electronic voice phenomena, or EVP. Seriously heard a live Cardinals game from the 20s, like playing through the speakers.
Like
randomly.
back cracking the voice and everything.
The
It
crowd
was-
going crazy, the announcer, players' names.
That's
It's
wild.
just
That's awesome.
like, and none of us had a negative experience. As a matter of fact, all of us want to go back because all of it was so positive.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite places that we went to.
Absolutely. The people there are warm and inviting. They leave you alone and let you investigate. You said, when did I start having visions? I started having visions at the Forest Hotel, and that was when I was doing what we call an Estes method, which is where you do sensory deprivation. You do the spirit box, attach it to noise-canceling headphones or a combination where you cannot hear you guys asking questions.
Yeah.
So I'm only listening to static, and I also have a blindfold on so I can focus on the void. So now I've got at least one sensory sense taken away, my sight, and partially my hearing, but I can still hear the box. One of the first visions I saw was a vision of a man and a woman walking like a diagonally.
Okay.
In a quintessential, like, think of 1950s era, the hat, the full suit. She had the bob and it was just, it looked like
This is your modern family.
Yeah, this is the modern atomic family. I mean,
They got a dog named
seriously.
Sparky.
Yeah, exactly. And I reached out to Watkins and Sons. They're still based out of Dexter.
Yeah.
And the older gentleman said, "It's interesting. That sounds like one of our brochures from the 50s." Because he had some of that stuff still at Watkins and Sons. And he goes, "Well, I'm looking at it right now. That's one of our brochures. You sure you've never been in here before?" "No. I have never been in your funeral home. I wouldn't have any reason to be in your funeral home. I'm from Sykeston. We don't bury people in New Madrid or
Right.
Dexter.
Right.
I'm going to drive all the way to Dexter to bury somebody. Doesn't make any sense." And then what I'm getting at is while I was at Missouri State, we did what we call, this is rare, we did a dual Estes, where there's another young gal,
Jules
Jules
Paranormal.
Paranormal from TikTok. Shameless plug. It's not Jules Paranormal anymore. Shameless pug.
Pug.
Shameless plug.
Shameless pug.
I realize what I say. And I
No,
just
she got
embrace
married
it
and they
fully.
rebranded. I can't remember the name, but
What
yeah.
would a shameless pug even look like? I'm still on that.
A shameless
anyway, yeah,
pug.
she
I
did
have
get
no
married.
clue.
Shameless pug.
One that's not cross-eyed? I don't know.
I could see it. I could see
You
it.
see the ones that have regular eyes? Anyway,
That's a rare breed.
so she's right above me doing a dual Estes live on her TikTok. And where I'm down below her, and something happens. She says something on her live like, "see through walls." At the same time, I'm blindfolded, right? And I'm sitting in a cell. All of a sudden, I'm blown away because now I can see through walls. I can see energy in the shape of a human form, like this mass. And I could see my mom walking through on the other side of the cell. Someone's walking up.
I was
and
sitting there writing everything down that he was saying and watched his head look up and track her walk into the room
man.
with
That is
us.
crazy.
It really was wild. And I'm the one that experienced it. And I wish I could share that with more people.
And he was like seeing energy like down in
that
lower
wasn't
levels.
even. Yeah, I'll get to that. But I looked out, and Christy, one of our investigators, was in a position and had moved, and I could still see her even though she'd moved. Like, she goes, "Well, he's not faking it because I moved," and then he looks straight at me through the blindfold, and I can't see through what blindfold were we even using? I don't even remember.
It was the ones that we have now.
Yeah, it's their sleep goggles or the sleep.
Sleep.
I mean, they're blacked out, man.
Yeah.
There's, and I said, "Well, there's somebody standing next to Christy, and it's a tall guy with a cowboy hat. He's being very protective, and I mean, I could see him plain as looking at a person, And then what's even more wild is down, like he was alluding to, down below, I could see more spirits, another level down below where we were, and they were congregated together. Think the Will Smith movie I, Robot
That's
toward the
exactly
end of the
where
film.
my mind went.
Yeah, like that in the Connexes and those storage containers. But they were down there together in like clumps, and then there's some of them were walking around, and I could see them. I'm like, I could see them above me, and then I'm past the wall that we weren't allowed to go in. And then we finally confirmed with the people that run the prison, oh, yeah, you're not allowed to go down there. And we didn't even know there were lower levels. And she goes, yeah, there's levels down there, but no one goes down there.
Why not?
I don't know. But I mean, it's getting confirmation from the crew there that there were lower levels, even though they didn't disclose that to us. They didn't tell us that there were lower levels. And it blew my mind a little bit. I mean, 50, 60, maybe 100 years ago, I'd have been committed. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
You're crazy. You're seeing things.
There's just certain things about this business that you always have to take a level of skepticism to things. But then there are certain instances like that happening and other cases that we've had that just really kind of validate what we're doing. And so I think that that's kind of the beauty of it, of we constantly do that with our own footage of, oh, this is something that happened, like we heard a noise or we heard a voice. Is there someone over there? Did something fall? Did something move? Is that normal? We try to debunk because we want to.
As much as we can.
We want to
like
put
you
out the
kinda got
best
to.
content.
You
Yeah.
kind of have to
My-
because you gotta.
My
gotta
father's
know that
name
it's
is in
real.
this. My father's name was Anthony Gerald Poole. That's why I brought him up at the beginning. American Ghost Project was named in his honor. AGP is his initials.
That's pretty cool.
And I wanted to
That is
incorporate and bring him into what we were doing because the night that he passed, Christmas morning of 2014, proved to all of us that your energy goes somewhere. And apparently he wanted to go into the study and throw papers everywhere. And
You were telling me about that.
it's just, Mom knew
Was
that
that
he
the
was.
catalyst? Was that what made
I
you?
think so. I really think so. I mean, that's not the first paranormal experience that I had. We'd have to go back years before that, and that's a good story too. But I don't want to forget about Rowan's first encounter at St. Mary's. We still got to cover that because that's a beautiful story. But I'll talk about my dad real quick. He passes. He was on hospice, dying of leukemia, and had 2 strokes and a brain bleed. So he was looking down to the left and couldn't move his whole right side. It was pretty bad. He had already told us that if he was on a ventilator and a feeding tube, he didn't want to live that way.
Yeah.
So we put him on hospice. And when he did, Mom is back up a little bit. Mom's looking for life insurance and the 401k. Being a doctor, 401k is like, for him, it was around $500,000 that she's looking for and cannot find it. And the hospital won't honor any of it because it was before they went digital.
Yeah.
So they don't have a copy of it. And unless she can prove it, she's going to lose it, which is nuts.
Yeah.
So he passes 45 minutes into Christmas morning 2014. We're sitting at, my best friend comes over, which was amazing, which helps validate to me. I'd been up for 4.5 days straight. You and I both know if you've been up that many days straight, you know that you start to hallucinate and all kinds of stuff, crazy stuff happens. Your brain starts messing with you. He came over and this helps validate what happened. We heard a big thump. My mom used to smoke. She's smoking on the front porch. I thought she had gotten up off of her rocker and it rocked back and hit the front of the house. That's what I thought. And she comes walking in and goes, "What fell?" And I go, "That wasn't you?" Todd Ginther gets up, walks around the corner to where the study is, and the door that was not open before is now wide open. The door had flung open so hard that the door handle is one of those classic looking door handles, embedded itself into the drywall. And now the ceiling fan, which was you never turned it on that high because it's off balance and it's old, was going.
Feels like he never had that thing on.
You're right. I mean, you know,
I've
never.
been there like every weekend.
This thing
growing
was
up.
okay. So imagine in your mind's eye that room was just a neat room.
Yeah.
With dead animal carcasses and his mom's ashes, his dog's ashes, a lot of very important stuff. It's a study. So, and he was an avid outdoorsman. And that fan going full blast, and it's just the strings are coming. I can still see it so vivid in my mind. And I walked in and I'm like, what in the hell? There's papers all over the room. Like it looks like a bomb went off in the room. Yeah. And
That's wild.
my sister walks in behind me and then here comes, she walks past me and I could smell his cologne. It's really distinct.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's attached to you. I just smelled his cologne. And then mom walks in and she goes, is there air on? There's a cold giraffe right here. Anyway, it doesn't matter. As I'm talking about this. Anyway, she walks in and she goes, okay, TP. That's what she used to call him. Okay, TP, Tony Poole. What are you wanting to show me? What's going on? And she goes, where is he? And both Lauren and I looked at each other and said, he's everywhere. He's spiraling in the room. Maybe he's crossing over here. It's just the static electricity like we have felt on occasion was the strongest I've ever felt in my life. That was one of the most memorable moments for me, witnessing or feeling my dad cross over. And I'm looking around the room and I swear on my mama's grave, I look down and the only piece of paper that's facing up was Northwestern Mutual or what his 401k was facing up.
Wow.
And I look down and I go, what's that? And she goes, hallelujah, praise Jesus. TP, are you serious? Like she went through the whole gambit. Like, that's it. It was one piece of paper and a pile of papers that proved his 401k.
Wow.
And it was just, you got to be kidding me.
I mean,
That was
just that alone, like, that's proof, and
Yeah.
it's wild to think. Like, I don't know. I can't even imagine.
Some people can chalk that up. Oh, that's coincidence. That's coincidence?
No, there
You mean
ain't
the
no.
fan? You mean you? Here's what in our line of work, we take all of these things that happen and that's called a series of events, and we look at all of these different things that line up to what started it, what sparked the activity, what happened, what did we capture, and we have the instruments and technology, thank goodness, where we can track all of that and understand what spirit is trying to tell us. And on his first investigation, we went where?
St. Mary's Hospital in Carroll, Illinois.
In Cairo?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. That's a
We
ghost
love
town.
that place.
That's a ghost town.
It's a ghost town.
Peoria? Is that any?
What's that?
Have you ever been? Is there anything going on in Peoria?
I have not moved up that far into
Okay.
Illinois.
That similar to Cairo?
Yeah,
from what I've
really.
heard. Yeah.
So, for those that are watching that don't know Cairo, Illinois, think Gary, Indiana,
Yeah.
but less violent.
yeah.
And here's the thing: as a Sykestonian, from Sykeston, especially being white, I grew up with the knowledge of don't ever go over to Cairo. You're the wrong color, and they'll shoot you.
Nah,
Yeah.
you'll be all right.
No, that is not what happened in Cairo. We go over there and they were waving and friendly.
Yeah.
It's not the
Yeah.
people in Cairo, it's everybody else.
They
I'm
they
telling you.
probably go there with the stigma, chip on the shoulder,
absolutely.
attitude, talk to somebody the wrong way, and they realize, no, these people down here don't play. And that's
Exactly.
That's more
Yeah.
what it is.
That's exactly what the people in Cairo said, is that the people from Charleston and Sykeston and all the surrounding towns would come clubbing in Cairo and stir up trouble.
Yep.
That's exactly right.
Yep. I've never had any issues at all when I went there. I mean,
Hours we spent in abandoned
Yeah.
buildings in Cairo. Never once. This is going to sound mildly racist, and I don't want it to sound that this is just what the black people in Cairo will tell you. They're not going in these buildings if they're haunted. They're not stupid.
Right.
They'll drive. They're hilarious, actually. That building really haunted? How many times did that happen? They pull up. That building really haunted? Yes. Oh, don't you tell me that. Don't you tell me.
Almost
no,
every
my
single
goodness.
time we went.
No, sir. No, sir.
yeah.
Like, y'all are cracking me up.
Well,
They're not going. You don't have to worry. You really don't.
I'm not
And
gonna
like,
lie to you. Black people ain't about that
no,
life.
man.
No.
I had
That life.
one. He was an urban explorer. You know what urban exploring is? Just exploring abandoned buildings.
Yeah.
Urbex Dane. He doesn't do it anymore. He's got a really neat channel. UD. I called him Udi just to mess with him. He lives in Vegas now. He was from We'll get to your story in a moment, I promise. He was from I can't think of where he was from. I'm sorry, Dayton, Ohio, and moved down to Vegas with his wife. Used to urbex with us. He came down, like we befriended him through YouTube and whatever. He is the only black guy that ever went with me, and the only reason why I brought him on because I walked into a house, a Victorian house that was derelict, that's gone now, thank goodness, that had slaves on wallpaper in their living room, picking cotton.
Wow.
I am not kidding you. I was pissed.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like, so somebody had to, like, you just back it up. Roll it back.
Yeah.
Let's back up. Somebody had to go, I got a company, and I make wallpaper.
What's this season style?
Let me do it. Let me do it.
I'm going to hand you the conch shell right now.
You know, you just picture a man walking in. It's like, hun, what kind of wallpaper you want on your... See what I'm saying, man? Just like,
Yeah.
Well, I think you get Clarence out there and you put him on their wall picking some cotton. I think that'd be a pleasant sight to see. What do you think, Jimmy? What do you think? Well, I believe that will be a great one.
We'll sell rolls of this.
I think that's,
Yeah.
you know, I think
Did
that's
you ever see that footage?
similar to how that
I've got-
conversation would have went down. You know?
That house is gone, right? It's gone.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Thank goodness. That leads me to another theory that we have. If we go back to where that house is, the spirit's still there? Or they just dissipate
They
when the
just
building's
leave.
gone?
No, they stay there.
We've
They'll be
had
there where
I
that ground
believe they
is.
stay there.
Here's the thing. Missouri State Pen proves that they stay. Because across the street from Missouri State Pen is 47 acres. That's, if you think about 47 acres and how much ground that covers, especially in downtown Jeff City,
Yeah.
Yeah.
holy cow. Across the street from MSP, well, the entrance now was the infirmary and the cafeteria.
Bunch more
and,
factories and
Building
housing
7,
units,
housing
yeah.
units. So there was a lot more. It's a judicial building now. Guess what's haunted and shouldn't be?
That building. Yeah.
They got all kinds of activity.
Man.
And they're telling MSP, hey, it's haunted over here too. I just can't wait for them to include that in the tour. Because that just, like, it shouldn't be. Because the building's like 10 years old or something. But it's the ground.
Way newer.
Energy is stored in a lot of places, not just the materials that are used to build buildings. You know, it's stored in the ground. It's stored in us. Like, there's energy all over.
You have
And it's-
electrolysis going across your heart.
Oh my gosh.
Synapses firing in your brain. I mean, except for Rowan. Most people have synapses firing.
Oh my God.
Tell us your story.
And I was just saying, like, to agree with that, that's just the beauty of the amount of theories that we have, because so much of what we do is theory.
Gosh.
And that could be a whole podcast within itself, just talking about the theories of how they see things. Like, if, let's say, the spirits still see that house there operating as it was, or is it just the ground to them?
Right.
Even though we can't see the house physically there, are they still operating throughout as if it were an actual house? Or if
Right.
you take down a wall that, and make it an entryway, or you wall up an entryway, are they still walking through that as if it were an entryway, or do they see it as a wall?
So, well,
Right, but what if it's different dimensions?
So
too?
that's the other thing.
You know
Like,
what
there
I'm
are
saying?
so many theories that could
that's
just
a good
like-
perspective.
Yeah, they
I ain't
could
gonna
just-
lie to you.
because
pick
they're-
apart what we do.
if they're completely in a different dimension than us, then they could be viewing it as something totally different.
And that was the
You
other
ever
thing.
seen AHS? American Horror Stories?
A little bit, yeah.
Hotel?
Yeah, haven't gotten that far. But
Okay.
yeah, I know that.
You
I
gotta-
know of it.
I've
yeah.
watched the entire show, first season all the way to you know whatever the season with Kim Kardashian. But that
That's a sex tape. That's not.
Whoa.
we'll talk,
Just exposed yourself.
He got you there.
that's something else. It's AHS. Go on, man. Keep up with me. Keep up with me.
Focus.
We're walking.
But there's a part in that season Hotel where I believe it was like the lower levels of the hotel they couldn't get into, like people couldn't get into because like the walls were boarded up, but the spirits were still going about through the hotel,
Sure.
like nothing was changed. Like I think the hotel was from like the 1950s or 1940s or whatever, and they still saw it as it was like from the 1950s and the and that blew my mind because I was like, do they not date? Like, do they just see new people? Do they still see the same? Like, do they still see old cars out of the windows? Do they still see wallpaper on the walls?
We've captured that on camera, not on camera,
Like
but on
buggies.
the buggy sound. We've actually heard a guy say something like, "Pull on the girl." You hear a buggy horn, a huggy born.
Huggy born.
That's a completely
He jumbles
different.
about as much as me.
Yeah.
That's a
I
new
just
shirt.
spilled water on myself.
What are you doing?
I don't know.
Anyway,
Started talking about Kim
Okay.
K. Good thing it's got wet over there.
anyway, you hear the
Not my type.
buggy beep out front, and then you hear a lady go, "We'll just pull around back." Like, what is it? Are they just going about their daily lives like it's?
And like horse and
Same.
carriage.
Oh, in the cobblestone in downtown Sykeston, and you can hear the. Oh,
And
like
see-
it blew my mind. I'm like, is that horses like, going across
So
cobblestone?
these are audios that y'all pick up, or are these like visuals?
It's
Audio.
Audio.
And see, this is like the beauty of, again, saying that as it is, the beauty of what we do is splicing certain things certain ways, because you can't just look at it from a lens of spiritually paranormal. You've got to be scientific. You've got to be historical. It's got to be throwing down, okay, well, these energies interact this certain way because of the ground being like this, or the atmosphere, or the people that live there, or what is still there. It's so many factors that tie in now. And something we just listened to the other day, because we listened to lore podcasts, and he was talking about time. And that's another theory, is if they are existing in a separate dimension or a separate time from us, things that have happened in our past, like from the 1950s or the 1900s, are their future. That's the time that they're currently interacting with, but we're so close together that it's kind of just rubbing and splicing, and sometimes it crosses over.
Yeah.
So what we see as spirits and ghosts may not be people that have passed,
Oh, man,
but people that are existing in their own time,
This is my kind of
but
conversation.
we're
Right.
ahead of them.
That's
let me-
where I was getting with that, saying it was maybe a different dimension earlier.
And this is like literally, this is why we say that there are, like Ed and Lorraine Warren, there are figureheads and pioneers of the system
Think
that
the
we're
Conjuring. That's Ed and
Yeah.
Lorraine Warren.
of the system that we are a part of. There are people that pioneer and come out with these different theories and ideas and ways that we go about in our normal day. Like, if you start out as a paranormal investigator, you should do these things.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then there is looking at it from the way of, there is no expert in this field. There's nobody that is better than anyone else, because
See-
no one has died and come over and said, "Oh, here's a guide to everything that you guys are interacting
I'm back.
with. This is how you do it, because I
what-
know all the answers." We're all trying to
So
figure
it's
it
pretty
out.
much team based. Like
Yeah.
you guys kind of decide, hey, this is what I want to do. Let me start my team, and this is the way that I'm going to run my team.
Yeah,
there's
it
no
tr-
handbook.
It
there's
tries
no,
to be more of a
Yeah.
community. We try, because that's what we want. We want the community to build and grow, and we want there to be better ways to interact with spirit and figure things out. But I mean, at the end of the day, people are a part of said community, and people could be finicky.
Yeah.
So
I do want to repeat what Aaron Mankey said, and I'm trying to get this theory down correctly. And if I sound like a moron, then I apologize ahead of time. But can you see behind you right now?
No,
Unless you turn your head, right?
correct.
So in theory, you really only can see your past. You can't see the future because it's behind you. And that's what blew my mind, and I was like, well, wait a second. How is my future behind me? I'm trying to wrap my brain around.
I'm trying to make that make sense.
Yeah,
because it's that's what
Like
also
time is relative, and it flows in. It intertwines. It's not
Yeah.
circular. It intertwines within
Right.
itself. So I would think it's hard to.
well,
it's
because
hard to
you
grasp.
remember your
Yeah.
past, you can't predict your future. You can't see your future, but you
But
can see your
Your
remember
past
your
is a
past.
Unless you're a
variant
psychic
of the
medium,
timeline
yeah.
that you've
No,
lived.
that-
You know what I mean? Just think about it. Like if
Believe
you made
me.
one choice different
Yep.
at the age of 5,
Yep.
I would not be sitting in this chair right now.
With you. I
Yeah.
almost got hit by a garbage truck
See?
at age 5.
I almost got bit by a rattlesnake.
Nothing ever happened to me at the age 5, but I know if I stepped off the porch the wrong way, like, but that's how relative it is. And that's kind of where I'm like, man, I don't know how to wrap
Right.
my head around. Like,
It's like the butterfly effect.
yeah.
Yep.
That and the
It
fact
really
that
is.
then they're now confirming that there are multiverses, and that there are multiple
11.
different
I don't-
timelines.
There's been the theory of 11 dimensions for a while though.
So I've heard it goes all the way up to 15.
Okay.
I don't know.
I mean, that's-
most of everything I've ever read or seen or heard has been 11, but then here recently, I would say within the last like 6 to 9 months, I've
We found
heard
4 more.
there's 4 more now.
See, and this is what we tell everyone. There's no just, oh yeah, they give the metaphor of, oh yeah, you're just dipping your toe into the shallow end, or are you jumping in? It's if
You jump out into the abyss with no chute.
Yeah, you decide to do what we do, and you pick up. You're going to be dealing with energies. You're going to be dealing with scientific methods. You're going to be dealing with history. You're going to be dealing with parallel dimensions. You're going to be dealing with elementals, with fae, with ghosts, with spirits, with demons, with
Here it is.
cryptids.
Here, I'll give you a good. Okay, I used to be in sales. This is a pretty perfect analogy. Imagine not knowing how to swim, and you just jump in a river that's going 100 miles an hour downstream. Swim. Figure it out.
You won't figure it out.
And the problem that we're facing as paranormal archivists or historians or investigators, whatever you want to label us, is that there's not a lot of information sharing. There's no collective, so to speak, of a website where, say, I go to this alley house in Atchison, Kansas, which is obviously, I mean, if you've not heard of it, it's one of the most prolifically haunted locations in the country to go to because of the events that have occurred there. What we capture as a team, we've been there twice. We went to once as a team, and then I went with just my Rowan on Devil's Night a year ago or so. So it's the night before Halloween is Devil's Night. So we went. Nobody had booked it. We were like, we'll just go. I mean, why not? It's the Sally House, and nobody's sharing information. So if we get a voice or capture something there, we can't compare it with other investigators.
Why is it like that though?
It's so.
But is it like that to the extent to where somebody else is trying to be better than you?
Oh, absolutely.
See, and that's weird.
And that's where the competitiveness comes in play.
It can still be competitive, but still be a community, like Rowan was saying
Absolutely.
earlier.
Right.
And I've told people that they're trying to preach para-unity right now, and I've told people that we are not in competition. I
Not
don't
at
care
all.
how many followers you have or do not have. If you are getting into this and you're getting into it for the right reasons, and you're a purist at heart, and you want to do this, this is a life choice,
Yeah.
man. It is not like he said, I'm just going to
hobby.
dip my toe in and consider this a hobby. When you do this and you do this full time, like we are,
You can't turn it off.
it's impossible. I've
See,
tried.
that seems like a thing where, like, if you're doing it as a hobby, you know, it feels like you're messing with things that you shouldn't be messing with. That's,
Yeah.
It kind of seems more
it's
like
kind
that.
of the it's kind of
It's
an
a
ignorant
mindset.
Yeah, it's an ignorant mindset if you look at it more as a hobby.
Yeah.
Not shitting on people that do it as a hobby, but it's kind of it's something that needs to be fully committed to. It can't be just pushed to the wayside because you're dealing with things that you know very little
You're
about.
right.
If
That-
this is
that
a hobby.
we-
Yeah.
it's almost one of them things, you know, like we as the United States or as the world total don't know anything more than what
No.
about the ocean.
Yeah.
Like the depths of the ocean, I think they said we've only discovered like 5% of the ocean.
Yeah.
See, and this is what I always try to coin. I'm giving myself another shameless plug. It's gonna be said now.
Hashtag shameless plug for this episode, guys.
Trying to make the paranormal more normal, and that is what we try to do. Is take it to these people that look at it from, because their religion comes into a lot of things of how you're raised, and seeing what we do, because we've gotten the everything you're doing is talking to demons, but looking at it and
I can't
trying to
help but
give them
snicker.
yeah, and trying to give them a different perspective of saying, well, that thing that you think that's in your house that's a demon, your grandmother just passed away recently. Maybe she's checking in on you. Maybe she wants to still be in the kitchen. Maybe she still wants to be around her grandkids.
But if the spirit is not with the body, then the body's with the Lord, or the spirit is with the Lord.
And see, when
Stop
people
throwing scripture
yeah.
at me.
when people do that, it's a little banging my head into a brick wall. But that is what generally I wish to do, and the team wishes to do, is trying to make what we do seem a little less scary, because it's It's everywhere. You can ask anybody that whether they believe it or not, they probably have had a paranormal experience in their life.
Yeah.
They probably had a loved one recently pass away and then something happened and then not think about it. Like, oh, that's a weird coincidence, but you don't think about it because it's so in the back of everyone's mind that you just immediately assume that if I don't think about it, then it'll be fine.
Like, I've had an experience before myself. Whenever I was younger, I was living with my grandma, like elementary age, and back in the 70s or 80s, I believe, there was like a serial killer going around Cape. And the house that my grandma lived in was one of the houses that he come into, and he ended up stabbing the homeowner at that time and then escaped out the bathroom window. The only reason why I know it's true is because there's Southeast Missouri like articles on it.
Mm-hmm.
And they come through, and it was like an anniversary, and they interviewed my grandma at that location.
Wow.
And so I remember waking up one night, and it felt like I was like super foggy, like, you know, you're just waking up, you're trying to get your bearings right and stuff is the best way I can describe it. And I just remember like waking up and looking because my door stayed open, and then out my door, and then you go right, and you'd go down the hallway. And I just remember like seeing like a little head like popped over the corner, and then as soon as it realized that I noticed it, ducked back. And that was like the first experience that I ever had, and I was 100% believing after that.
What I've tried to teach my team since we have started this journey and on this path, knowledge is always powerful, and as you become educated in this field, it's less to fear, because we fear what we don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
Those people that experience and have these experiences, they don't know what they're dealing with, and they reach out to a paranormal investigative team. Once they gain, like Covington, for example, once that lady, once we educated her on what is there and what isn't there, and that nothing is negative that's there, that she's going to have to live with whatever spirits are there, because God gave us free will, and that free will goes into the spirit world. And if they want to be in that house, you're going to have to live with them.
You have to coexist.
And it sounds wild, and there are some teams out there that swear up and down that they can get rid of everything. No, you can't.
Is that the end goal for most teams?
I don't know. I really don't.
Okay.
I can't speak for other teams. I just know that I have seen other teams preach that they can get rid of everything.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that's possible.
Some scenarios, it doesn't seem like it would be.
I mean, if I didn't want to get out of this chair, could you move me?
Right.
Right. Imagine doing that with something you can't see, hear, smell, touch,
Yep.
taste, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
All
and
of
that
your senses
freaks
are turned.
people out.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't even know where they are to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Then how are you going to do it? You going to vacuum the air? I mean,
Ghostbusters!
Yeah.
exactly. I mean,
We should have brought the
So,
proton
Grandma,
pack
what are you
over.
doing? I'm getting rid of your grandpa. Shut up.
yeah, we do have a proton pack in the studio.
They those are real things now.
Yeah.
They make those.
Yeah, we have one.
Y'all have one?
Yeah.
Of course y'all do. Of course y'all do. Man,
Yeah,
kid,
they
of
got
course
it
I do.
all.
I'm gonna come by and check it out. We're gonna do a part 2 there too. We've kind of
We've got
deterred
the space.
our own episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For this freaking, I don't even know what to call it, dude. You're interesting, very interesting.
Cool. I don't feel like I am, but sure.
Just
Yeah,
what you know, like your knowledge, you know how deep it goes with the history versus what you're trying to do. That's very interesting, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's very interesting.
Appreciate it.
You out here chasing ghosts, like real deal, real time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We're not hunters. We're not trying to put them up on the wall.
Just a plaque that says "Ghost." What?
Yeah.
What am I looking
Yeah.
at?
It's a ghost. You can't
Only
see it.
you can see it,
I can see him. He's still there.
man.
He's stuck on the
Just
wall.
start gaslighting people. He's
Y'all
there.
should.
Trust me.
Y'all really should. I'm
You guys
not gonna
call us
lie.
ghost hunters.
I mean,
There's one right there.
It would fit in with the way society is now.
Man.
You know?
That one was my
claims
Pappy's
all
favorite.
kinds of things.
Yeah, I'm 20. It's 2025. You can't gaslight me. The hell
You don't
I
see
can't.
you don't see Paul up there on the wall?
Pawn on the
I
wall.
just
You're
like
messing
picture,
with me.
I want
Come
to come
on.
into the studio one day. He's gonna have these plaques up there. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like, dang, dog, you got a lot of them. He's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
we're
we got
racking
more
them
to
up,
catch
man.
today.
Yeah.
I gotta go down and get more
That
tags.
was
Rowan, make sure the proton's charged. I'm just like,
there is there was the Tennessee Ray Chasers that was on Ghost Asylum on Discovery, and their first season, that's what they focused on, catching them, building Faraday cages, which is an anti-EMF chamber, building all these different devices to try and catch them and lure them into traps.
So that always turned me off of it.
That reminded me of
You,
that.
so you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly. I used to watch a lot of
Chris-
these
I mean, like
shows.
Chris, and I've met Brandon, hung out with Chris for a little while. Not met Porter. It was Chris, Brandon, and Mike, and all three of those guys they were with Ghost Hunt Weekends at the
That's-
Thomas House
that's
in Red Bowling Springs, Tennessee, and it's a neat it was a children's boarding house, and I got to speak with, believe it or not. He doesn't look like it. Brandon is a big guy in person. He's taller than me, and he is not he looks, I don't know, he looks small on camera.
Yeah, it's the camera.
And I'm like, damn, this guy, are you lifting, bro? What are you, Jesus, what are you feeding this kid?
It's like, what are you eating for dinner every night?
Yeah, I mean, of course, Chris is stacked. He was dating a girl from St. Louis at the time, and it was just cool to talk to guys that have been on TV and have been down that path. And but like I said, when they were Ghost Asylum, it was like, come on, guys. I mean, they were taking traps out in the middle of the woods and blowing them up with tannerite and shit like that. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
What are you doing? What are we doing here?
Yeehaw.
I mean, that's never going to be the direction of the American Ghost Project. I can assure you, regardless of the
Sure
amount
hope
of I'd like to make some money doing what we're doing just to survive and put gas in my truck and to keep
buy
doing
explosives.
this and to buy things that blow up and to, obviously rid the world of ghosts.
It's an infestation.
They're
One
everywhere.
ghost at a time.
Right.
Y'all got a catchphrase?
Ghost at a time. Which actually, yeah, we do.
That's gonna be it. Oh, okay.
No.
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 I was about to say, like, dang, how did I know?
Yeah.
No, the American Ghost Project has always been what you fear we will find.
Nice. That's
That
solid.
has always kind of been our focus.
Cue dramatic music.
Yes. What you fear we'll find.
Listen closely.
Get you a pirate hat and put it on.
Shit's real.
Oh, it's crazy.
Oh.
Scott, Rowan, we appreciate you guys for coming in, man.
Thank you for
Thank you
inviting
for
us.
having
It
us.
was a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna do a part 2 at you guys'.
Yeah.
You heard it, folks?
Definitely part 2. There's got to be more. I mean, we can't just
We
label
can
them.
ask him more questions, more ghosty questions. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Stuff
there's
like
a lot
that.
more.
But I don't
stories.
think we could label it part 1, part 2 because
Nah.
we're probably we're gonna need to collab a lot more with them. Now.
Yeah, we definitely will.
Yeah.
We definitely will. And I want to take you up on that. We come as like little interviewees when they do. I'll be down to do that.
Yeah.
Let me know the dates. I'll see if I'm free. I got some things in March that I know I got to do, but
When are we going to
April. Beginning of
April?
When are we going to April?
When are we going to April? I don't know.
Yeah.
After March, I hope.
The weekend of April 4th is when we're going up to Kansas City.
okay. If I got no kids and he's free,
Weekend April 4th.
we're there. We're there. Cool. Appreciate you coming once again.
Yeah.
man.
Thanks for
For
having
sure.
us.
Well, guys, we appreciate you for watching. I'm a little freaked out now at this point. You guys don't see me in next episode and just know a ghost got me. But if a ghost did get me, call my man Scott over here to come find me.
Yeah, we'll continue the conversation.
Appreciate
in a different
that.
way.
A
Well,
lot
make
more
sure
of
you-
our gear.
Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe, share it out to a friend, family friend.
Everybody you know. Share it out to everybody you know. Guys, you guys want to plug your pages?
Yeah.
OM Ghosts.
OM Ghost.
We have an OM Ghost. That's
I
going
don't
to
know.
be
Is
our.
that one set up yet?
It's not really set up. I mean, it's the
The
American.
American Ghost Project.
I mean,
American
it's
Ghost Project.
Facebook, Insta, TikTok, YouTube.
Just hashtag American Ghost Project. You'll find us pretty much everywhere.
AGP.
There we go.
I like it.
American Ghost Project, guys. We appreciate having y'all.
Stay tuned.